Welcome back to Canada Wide. Don't forget to hit the notification button. That helps out a lot with the channel. And I wanted to go through some trivia here on facts because it drives me nuts when these politicians keep using lies, untruths, whatever you want to call it. And there's good stories in Canada, but the Liberal Party just always seems to demoralize Canadians and shame them. And I find that totally wrong and evil, actually, what they do. For example, this with the coal. And I'll go through here with coal and natural gas, and we'll go a bit of some trivia here. So I want to make this equal. So for 1 megawatt hours of emissions of energy, it takes 2.2 tons of coal to produce. Now, what would happen if they used LNG, which is something the Trudeaus always say there's no business case, and I'm going to show them a business case, and I will show to Stephen Legault here, Stephen Guilbeault, the uneven Stephen here. How come he can't even think about this business idea? Because LNG, for the same amount of energy, how much CO2 would LNG produce? That's really the question. Does that make sense? And it's a very easy answer. You can get it very easily on the internet. It's 0.9 tons. So it's less than half. So for all the coal that countries use, if Canada sent them LNG, it would cut their CO2s by half. And I don't know why, I do know why Stephen Guilbeault doesn't want that, because he doesn't care about the world greenhouse gases. All he cares about is what's in his hand there, money. And this is a big business to have data scientists and models say that you need higher taxes. It's a very big model. Canada has been, for example, with forestry, they have been managing that for like 100 years. He didn't create it. And he always takes credit for information like that as well. So let's look at the greenhouse gases. So Japan, Germany, they both wanted Canadian LNG. These are the greenhouse gases. This is 2 years ago. Yeah, China's the top one. And China, you don't want to blame them for producing that, because everything that we have at Canadian Tires and Walmart and Amazon all comes from China. They use manufacturing to make us stuff, and we use it. So it's not like all that greenhouse gas goes to heating for China. It doesn't. In Canada, it does, because we don't manufacture much. That is used for heating and transportation mostly, and building construction as a people coming. So my point here is in the two green, Japan and Germany. You see how many greenhouse gases they have? If they used LNG from Canada, and they've been begging Trudeau to do it, and he doesn't see a business case. Well, look right there. If they cut it in half, that would be nearly 100,000 tons. Actually, that's not even 100,000. That's 1 million, right? That's 1 million. That's more than double of what Canada produces. So if Canada gave LNG to Germany and Japan, and they're using coal, if they cut their greenhouse gases by half by using LNG, that would be more than double of Canada's greenhouse gases. Then do it where we take credit for it, because there's that world score of greenhouse gases, and Canada stinks in it. And Stephen Guilbeault doesn't have the balls to tell him what is wrong with that formula. And I know what's wrong with it. But the question here, what type of energy is most prevalent in Canada? Nuclear, hydro, solar, or wind? What do you think it is? Why don't you lock in your answer? And the answer is hydroelectricity. I have to stop. And it is hydroelectricity at 60%. That's great information. That's 60% of all Canada's energy comes from hydroelectricity, which does not use greenhouse gases. Like, why can't the government tell a good story like that? And they don't. And you see that solar and wind, I'm going to show what the percents are after, is very, very low. And I was thinking too, why don't they have all electric vehicle cars go on solar? Because it's all on hydroelectricity in Canada. In general, all of Canada, every province. So why don't they have it all on solar, and then have them pay for all the telephone cables that go in the ground? Now, the next one here, this is a breakdown of Ontario's energy mix. See that nuclear, hydro, natural gas? That's all clean energy. So all of Ontario is pretty well all clean anyways. We don't use coal. And that just depends on geographically where we are, because I think Saskatchewan has to use it or something like that, and out east, because they don't have water dams. Here's the next question. What type of energy is most prevalent in Quebec? You want to lock in your answer? hydro. And the thing with hydro, what's so good about it, and this actually blows my mind that I've actually seen this, is 95% of Quebec's energy comes from hydro. And you know, there's had the most green aluminum plant in the world, and that was not Pepe Le Pew, that Champagne guy, you know, the foreign minister, whatever, I don't know, whatever he does, you know, Champagne. He went to Georgia in America, and he bragged about the 100% green energy from the aluminum plant in Quebec. And that's everything in Quebec is green energy. Then, if you look at it like this, everything. And the only reason it is Quebec has, how do you say, like, blessed with rivers. That's just geographically what they have got, because Ontario doesn't have as much, and they have a lot. But then Saskatchewan or Manitoba or, you know, Alberta, they won't have as much. That's really the only difference. That's what they're bragging about in Quebec of their green energy, is that. So let's go to the next question that comes up here. How many layers of management are there in the average federal department? You want to lock in your answers here? 7. This means you have 7 bosses. And what's really, you know, when something crap hits the fan in the government, and Trudeau blames this and blames that, it's not this person, it's that person. This is why. Because there's not one person that can take the heat for doing something stupid. That's really what the issue is. And it's like there's so many bosses that no one takes responsibility. They all just blame the other person, and they do, like, what does someone say, like shuffle chairs on a Titanic. They just move stuff around. You move to another department and then you're gone. So all these bosses are breathing down your neck, and no one really has an answer for that. Let's look at the next question here. How much did the Liberals' annual spending grow in 2015 from $280 million? You want to lock in your answer? How much that has grown since Trudeau has gotten in? Yeah, that's $500 billion. That's how much it's grown from him. And that's really when, remember, there was Stephen Harper saying, oh, there won't be modest deficits, there'll be gigantic ones. Yeah, he actually knew what was going on. That is huge. He knew exactly what would go on. Trudeau would double the budget. So when Pierre comes in and he tries to cut the budget, this is where Trudeau starts pointing fingers and saying, look, he's cutting the budget. He's taking away from you. He's so evil. But in reality, this can't keep doubling. Like, when you look at doubling the services, do you think, like, for example, the passports have improved their speed, or any other government department? And I'll show an example too. I've seen in China, they have drones delivering Starbucks coffees. Like, all that innovation and is just missing in Canada. It's just like left. It's just like so empty. I know Trudeau says the AI fund, but anyway, let's look at the next one. What percentage of federal bureaucrats received bonuses? A, B, C, or D? You want to lock in your answer? 89, so close to 90%. So basically, if you're a government worker, you're good to go. All of them are 100% capacity. And in the private sector here, it's a third of that. So 30% in the private sector get bonuses. And that sort of makes sense, because not everyone should get a bonus, really, because you really do it to the top people. But it seems in the government, I think Trudeau's sort of giving it as a approval of agreeing with him, like to not say anything bad about him. Like, it's not his money, right? It's the taxpayers' money, but that's what he's doing to make them obey him, really. Let's look at the next question. How have mortgage payments and rates changed under Trudeau? A, B, C, or D? Which one do you think it is? There you go, doubled. Yeah, he doubled them. That's something that he takes 100% credit for. I mean, having all these people come in and saying that this is the biggest housing boom creation of all times and bragging about it, he caused it. He caused 1 million people to come in per 9 months. It's him. He's the one that made this. You know, when they say a politician creates the problem and creates the solution, that's actually it. And the last chart here I wanted to go through is this one. The gap between public, private, and self-employed entrepreneurs, the percent change from 2014. This is of when Trudeau came in that mix. So obviously, 2020, we all know what happens. But what do you think, the bottom chart here, what dropped down to zero? Which one of those three do you think dropped to zero? Here, I'll give you a hint. Self-employed entrepreneurs. they pretty well are non-existent in Canada. And I know why. I mean, I can tell why because of all the red tape, all the bureaucracy, all the layers of government, that it's easier to do it in America. And I don't think Jagmeet Singh's people that follow him are no think about this at all. I probably thinks that they're ignorant of this. That if Canada and America are so close to each other, why wouldn't someone go to America if it is better, cheaper, easier, faster to do? I mean, innovation, that's where it starts from. And there's the other two mix. Public service, look at that. Public services, public sector and private sector. So public sector is enormous growth from Trudeau. And once again, not only is it that percent there, but about 90% get bonuses. And remember that CBC president, Catherine Tate or whatever, she's almost like it's her privilege to get she didn't call it a bonus, an incentive, whatever. Like, I don't even get it. Even the LCB, I don't even know how they get a bonus. They're a monopoly. You're selling liquor. How hard is it? You know, I don't even get it why there's so many bottles of different vodka or whatever too. Like, it's just a nightmare. Anyway, so I wanted to go through some of these facts here and clear that all up so everyone gets to be on the same page. Let me know how you did with the picking of the multiple choices at the end. And don't forget to hit the notification button in the link. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.